The first time I suspected something was off, it wasn't a grand revelation or a loud confrontation. It was the little things, the ones that nag at your gut when you try to ignore them. I had been married to Claire for nearly 8 years, and in all that time I thought I knew her inside and out. Her routines, her quirks, even the way she sipped her morning coffee were predictable. But lately something felt different. Small changes, subtle shifts, things I couldn't immediately put my finger on. She had started leaving her phone on silent more often, brushing off questions about late nights at work with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She claimed it was stress, new responsibilities, deadlines piling up. And maybe it was. Or maybe it wasn't. I remember the exact moment my doubts became impossible to ignore. Claire told me she had scheduled a therapy session that afternoon. A routine appointment, she insisted, something to help her manage anxiety she had been struggling with. She left the house casually, her bag slung over her shoulder, her phone tucked inside, no hesitation in her voice. But something about the way she glanced over her shoulder before closing the door gnawed at me. My instinct told me to ignore it, to trust her, but years of small unease had been layering into a storm of suspicion. I decided to follow her. I parked a few blocks away, keeping the car shaded behind a row of trees, heart hammering in my chest. She walked briskly, purposeful, but with that subtle tension in her shoulders that betrayed an attempt at normalcy. I kept my distance, careful not to be seen, my pulse quickening with every step she took. The city streets blurred past as I followed her, a mix of anxiety and dread wrapping tight around my chest. She stopped at the end of a quiet street, glanced around, and then entered a small hotel tucked between a coffee shop and a boutique. My stomach dropped. A hotel. Not a therapist's office. Not the building she had claimed was the clinic. The lobby was dimly lit, nondescript, nothing that screamed professional counseling. She checked in at the front desk, received a key, and headed toward the elevator. I stayed hidden, unable to move, unable to look away. The realization hit me in a way that was both sudden and crushing. Something was wrong. Something very wrong. I drove around the block, trying to steady my breathing, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. But the truth was stubborn, and the image of her disappearing into that hotel, alone, with no legitimate reason, was seared into my mind. I followed her up to the entrance again, just far enough to see her disappear behind the hotel doors. I couldn't go inside, not yet, not without confronting her in a way that would change everything. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly it ached. My mind raced, replaying every recent argument, every unexplained late night, every minor lie I had brushed off. Patterns I had ignored now screamed for attention. The hours passed slowly. I didn't want to go home, not yet, not while that nagging sense of betrayal burned like a live wire under my skin. I waited in my car, parked a safe distance away, watching the entrance, tracking anyone who came or went. And then I saw him. A man, tall, confident, with a smile that immediately made my stomach churn, met her at the elevator. They exchanged a few words, too close, too intimate for casual conversation. They laughed. She reached out to touch his arm. It was fleeting but deliberate. I didn't need more proof. My worst fears were being confirmed in real time, and yet I still couldn't move. My body felt heavy, my mind trapped between disbelief and the raw urge to confront her. I watched as they disappeared down the hallway, and that was the moment the world narrowed to a single, unbearable point. She was lying. Every carefully constructed excuse, every explanation about stress or work or therapy, was unraveling in front of my eyes. I remembered her smile when she mentioned her session that morning, how she said it was just therapy. That lie had seemed harmless. That lie had seemed small. And yet, it had led me to this, watching her hand in someone else's, her laughter not meant for me. I felt the heat rising in my chest, a mix of rage, heartbreak, and a strange, hollow numbness. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to shatter the illusion she had built over the years. But I didn't. Not yet. I needed to see it through. I needed to know the full truth before I allowed myself to act. I stayed in the car until the hallway doors finally closed, leaving the lobby quiet again. My mind was racing. I replayed the past few months, every subtle change, every omission she had made. The late nights she claimed were due to work. The weekend meetings she said were team events. The casual mentions of new friends, coworkers I had never met. All of it now made sense, each small piece a thread in a tapestry of deceit I had refused to acknowledge until now. My heart sank, and for the first time in years, I realized I didn't know her at all. The person I had married, the woman I had trusted with everything, was a stranger in her own life. I decided to leave, to regroup, to consider my next move. But as I started the car, I knew one thing for certain. I could no longer pretend, I could no longer ignore the signs. This wasn't just a lapse or a mistake. This was deliberate. This was betrayal. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much I had let myself be blind, how much I had ignored my own instincts in favor of comfort, in favor of belief that she would never hurt me this way. But now the comfort was gone and the belief had been shattered. I needed answers. I needed confrontation. I needed clarity. And I knew deep down that nothing would ever be the same again.